Hey guys, Brian from Boas here. I just finished building this massive rack that you see behind me, and I'm really excited to get some snakes in here. This rack is a rack built to hold the iris Christmas tree storage tubs. It's a relatively easy and economical way to house small to medium sized adult boas, and today I'm going to show you exactly how I built this so you can build one for yourself. If you like this video, please be sure to subscribe to the Brian Boas YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of my upcoming videos all about keeping and breeding boa constrictors in captivity. So I'm going to do a quick panning shot so you can take in just how big and spectacular this huge rack is. The overall dimensions are approximately 57 inches wide by 78 inches tall by 23 inches deep, and it's got a total of 6 shelves plus one shelf at the top for the top shelf to hold 6 of these iris Christmas tree tubs. And you can see the top 2 shelves have a tub in them, and then you can see the third shelf there's no tub. Actually, I only have 5 of these tubs at the moment. I have to buy another one in order to finish this. But you can see the one that's empty, I am using an 11 by 23 inch Ultratherm heat mat that's held in place with aluminum foil tape. And then you can see on the sides there are 2 6-inch by 78 inch side pieces on each side, and then there's 3 in the back. So a total of 7 of these 78 inch by 6-inch wide pieces just to hold the whole thing together. And then scrolling down we can see the bottom 3 shelves. And then at the very bottom I have a frame that's made out of 2x4s acting as the foundation. And then there are 6 2-inch casting wheels so the whole thing can be moved around. So you can see it's quite a big rack. You may not have the floor space or the wall space for such a gargantuan creation, but of course you can scale it down. You can make one that's only 3 or 4 or 5 shelves. The point of these videos is not for me to tell you exactly how to make your racks, but just to give you some ideas so your own creative juices can flow and you can build the rack that you need. Now I want to give you a look at one of these tubs. You can see it's a pretty massive tub, and these are called the Iris Christmas Tree tubs. They are available in the last few months of the year around Christmas time. They're not available, during the rest of the year, so you have to plan ahead. And I actually went ahead and I bought 5 of these about 4 or 5 years ago, and I planned to make a rack, but I never got to it until recently. So I need to get another one because I've only got 5 and I've got 6 shelves on this rack. But you can see it comes with a top which is appropriately green and red for Christmas. Actually, I drilled holes in this for something else. They don't come with these holes. But you don't need this lid, so you can just take the lid, set it aside, hopefully recycle it for some other use other than throwing it away. And then the other thing is that they come with these wheels, so you don't need the wheels either. So you can the wheels kind of pop out like this. So you can just hopefully reuse these wheels for something else. Let me know if you come up with a good use for them, by the way. So this is the tub, and it comes with this sticker which claims that the size is 52 inches by 20 inches by 14 inches. But that's not really the case. It's actually a little bit smaller than that. Maybe they measure just the outer edge, which is kind of flared at the lid. What I found is the actual size of floor space is 47 by 17 by 11 inches tall. But it's still a pretty big tub, and as I mentioned before, it's good for a small to medium sized adult boa. I would say a boa up to about 6 feet or so can live comfortably in one of these tubs. So most of the adult dwarf and semi-dwarf boas, and then other types of boas where the adults aren't any greater than 6 feet long. These tubs are usually available in the months leading up to Christmas, so they should be on sale soon. And you can get them at the large big box stores. They run for about $30 a piece, at least they did a few years ago when I got these. So it's a relatively economical way to house a small to medium adult boa. And in fact, this whole rack was a really good deal. this rack with the 6 shelves for the tubs, all the wood, and the heaters, the heat mats, only ran about $600 or so. So it's a really cost-effective way for a rack for adult boas. Now I'm going to go over the wood and other supplies you'll need to build this rack. You'll need 3 4x8 foot sheets of plywood. So I use 3 5/8 inch plywood, just the CDX construction grade. You could probably use 1/2 inch plywood, but I like the extra thickness just for the durability. You're going to need 2 2x4s, 2x4 inch by 8 foot. That's for the frame at the bottom. You're going to need side pieces of 6 inch by 8 foot number 2 pine. And you could use a lower grade wood, but I kind of like the number 2 pine. It's got this nice smooth finish. And then you're going to need, I'm going to make sure I don't miss anything here, screws to screw it together. These are just 2.5 inch deck screws, number 8 deck screws. You could use any similar type of screw, about 2 to 3 inches long or so. And then I highly recommend that you get a power screwdriver and a power drill. Okay, and then you're going to need some aluminum foil tape to tape down the heat mats. And then finally you're going to need some casting wheels for the bottom. I use 6 of them, and I use 2 inch wide casting wheels. 2 of them on one side have a brake, just so I can brake the whole unit in place when I don't want it to move around. And these casting wheels make it super easy to move these racks around in my snake room as I need to. So here's a blueprint for how I cut each sheet of plywood. And you can see I'm getting 2 shelves, which are 53 by 22 inches. And then I have 1 strip on the end, which is 6 inches by 8 feet. So basically you want to cut off that 6 inch by 8 foot piece. Then you want to cut out the bottom piece, which is 44 by 43 inches. And this is actually extra, although I'm going to show you we can use it for one of the shelves. And then for the 2 shelves, you can see they're 53 by 22 inches. So it's not the most efficient way of using the plywood, but you do get 2 shelves out of each. So you're going to need a total of 3 sheets of plywood for a total of 7 shelves. And I'll show you how I made another shelf with that leftover piece. And so I say you want to cut. Typically I have my lumberyard do the cuts for me, just because it's really easier, because they have this really big saw, and it saves me a lot of time from having to cut it myself. So I just pay a little extra and I get them to cut the plywood to the sizes I need. So I want to show you the base, and this is where you start. You're first going to need to make this frame out of 2x4s, and you can see the 2x4s are screwed together, and there's actually 2 53 inch 2x4s and then 2 19 inch 2x4s for the side around here. You can see that. And so you screw those together using 3 screws, as you can see. And then I screw in the 6 inch casting wheels, which you can see there. Okay. And so after you have the frame, you want to put the floor piece in. And this is where you can use that extra 43 by 44 inch piece. You can see, because it's on the base, you can actually use 2 pieces of wood. You can see the little crack there. But this is I believe this is 22 by 43 inches. And this is 22 by 10 inch, this piece right here. And that way you can get 7 of these shelves out of 3 sheets of plywood. So once you have your bottom frame piece in place with the floor and attached to the 2x4s, then you attach the side pieces. And as I mentioned, I use 2 6 inch by approximately 8 foot number 2 pines on each side here. And then in the back I used the plywood that was left over from the side of each sheet of plywood, the 8 foot by about 6 inch piece. And this rack is not a full 8 feet tall. It's actually about 6.5, I think like 78 inches or so tall. But when I'm making my racks, I always make a piece that's a little extra, just to make sure I have enough room as I build my way up. And then I trim it at the end. So basically I believe it was around 82 or 83 inches when I started. and then you build each shelf from the bottom up. And you can see I use a spacer. Typically I use about maybe 30 sheets or so of newspaper. You want to have a space of about 1/8 to 1/4 inch, just so that the tubs don't bind up when you try to pull them out like drawers. So you can kind of play around with that, and there's other ways besides newspaper that you can put the spacer in. When you're putting the shelves on, you want to drill pilot holes, just so that before you put the screw in, that there's a pilot hole. And you can see I have 2 screws holding up each shelf and each 6-inch piece of wood. And that's enough to hold it in place. And then you can see you do the same for each of the 8 or 7 rather side pieces, just to hold it together. And then when you're done with the first shelf, you just move your way up and so on. And you build up, going up for however many shelves that you want to put in there. So I actually don't have any snakes that are ready to go into this rack at this moment. One of the reasons I built this was just to have some extra space for some of the many holdbacks that are growing up. You know, and as snakes get bigger, they're moved to larger tub sizes, and then ultimately some of them can be moved to this rack. So it's always great to have extra real estate for your growing snakes well in advance, so you're ready to go when they need that extra space. And with this particular rack, I think I'm probably going to use coconut husk as the substrate. And you know, each tub will have a large water dish and a couple hiding places, one over the heat spot, one on the cool end. And then I'll use a Herpstat 6 thermostat to control the temperatures on this whole unit. And I probably won't need to use this until maybe the spring, but it's always nice to have it ready to go for when my snakes get to the size that they're going to need it. So as is my custom, I thought I'd get out one of my favorite boas to share with you. And I don't share this girl very often because she is a little grumpy and cantankerous, and you know, she's drawn blood a few times. But this is my Honduran firebelly female. And I think the only time I showed you her was in my video about me handling my most aggressive snakes. But she's absolutely gorgeous. This beautiful orange peach firebelly. And hopefully this girl will breed for me this upcoming year. It's been a couple of years since I had these Honduran firebellies, and they're really a rare boa. There's very few people working with these. So I hope to produce some more baby Honduran firebellies in the summer of 2021. And they're a really cool animal. In addition to the beautiful peachy orange belly color, they've got these beautiful bright reddish eyes that kind of stick out. And they've got these short, very short snouts and very broad heads. You know, almost like a pit bull, the shape of their head. A cool boa that you really don't see very often, the Honduran firebelly. So looking forward. This one I might pair up just in a few months, probably around December. And with any luck, we'll have some babies for 2021. So I hope this video was helpful and this rack gave you some inspiration for your own building projects. As always, shoot me any questions that you might have. Thanks for watching and enjoy your boas.